Intro? Oh, are we in the mood to do this today?
No other choice, really.
No other choice. Can you tell we're mood readers? I don't know.
Sorry that we're like a bit like out of it today, because she's really stressed. About life change.
Just life changes, which is exciting. It's just taking
it's exciting.
It's just a lot.
It's a lot. And then I'm like sick, so
We're here. Hi.
welcome to Chaos and Booklore.
So we just realized we didn't talk about what we were doing today.
Oh yeah. So we're doing our October wrap up. Why am I always freezing? My brain does not work whenever we film.
We are doing our October wrap up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely a bit of a reading slump, but again, like I have like life changes going on, and so I had to like shift my priority a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
No shade in a game. This is what we signed up for.
Yeah. I didn't have a reading slump. October was actually a really good month for reading. Like towards the end, when I was starting to get sick, that's when the slump really happened. But October itself was really good, even if there were a few lower rated books.
I had a good, like with the books that I read, I had like a good like
time.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time. So I don't hate it. I love it.
October was a good time.
October was a good time. Yeah. So, do you want to start?
Sure.
Sure. While I gain my motivation to
just like kind of rein it in.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Here.
Okay.
Take
so
the mic.
I'll start, but I'm just gonna cut the cameras quickly. Okie dokie. So we starting off with October, and what did I read in October? My first book. I can't remember anything right now. My first book was Rouge by Mona Awad. I borrowed it from the library, so I don't have it with me. It's really good. I rated it 4.5 stars.
Ooh.
It's such an interesting read. I think a lot of people... I don't know how to explain this. I think a lot of people would find it too weird to enjoy it, right? I also enjoy weird. It's for like a certain type of reader. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, it's not for everybody. It's, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, it's like, it's not for you. But I completely enjoyed it. I loved it a lot. 4.5 stars.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Second book I read was Angels Before Man by Raphael Nicola. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his last name, but I also borrowed it from the library, and again, don't have the physical book with me, but I'm pretty sure I rated it 3.5 stars. It was really good, and it dealt with a subject matter that I don't see explored quite often, which is like Lucifer's downfall, but it's a queer retelling of Lucifer's downfall, and I thought it was really, really interesting. I thought the premise was well executed. I did not like how it was paced. That was like my main problem with it. The first half of the book, or not even half, like 75% of the book was quite slow. And then everything happened in the last 25%, and I'm like, wow, we couldn't have spread this out like
A little bit
more. But it's really well done. It's actually an indie book, I believe. It was originally self-published by the author on Amazon.
Wow.
So it's really well done, and I would recommend reading it. Trigger warnings. A lot of things happen in it.
Okay.
So it's good to check the trigger warnings for it first before you jump into it. But for an indie published work, the author is really fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, his way of writing, I have never read anything like it before. It's really good. So the next book I read was Slewfoot by Brahm. This was on the reading mood board, and I did end up getting to read it. And it was, I think I rated this 4 stars.
Ooh.
It's really well written, well paced. It feels like you're watching a movie,
Oh, nice.
and it feels a little bit like Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh.
The plot and stuff, not so much, but the vibe of it, it's very Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. My favorite thing is the fact that there's art pieces included in this, so you can really get to imagine the people that are in it.
Yeah.
I think that's why it felt like a movie, because you can like you visually can see what they look like, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's such an interesting dark gothic type of story, and it's something that I don't see very often. It's told like a fairy tale, so when you're reading it, you're just like, oh, that's so interesting. You kind of like feel like a kid while reading it, but it deals with mature matters, so no, not for children. It just feels like it's told in a fairy tale manner. So this one's a really good read if you like the dark gothic type of fairy tale stories.
Nice.
Really, really well done. And then my next one, I was right. Okay. So the next book I read was What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. Also a library loan. I really enjoyed it. It's based on Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher.
Ooh.
And it's really well done in that it keeps a lot of the spirit of what that story is, but adding a lot more details to why those things are happening in the short story.
Ah.
But like you can only do so much with like a retelling. So it was like I rated it 3 stars.
Yeah.
It was really good. But you know, it's nothing super exceptional, you know.
Yeah.
It's a good vibe. It's a good October read. I enjoyed it immensely, so
Yeah.
but it's for the month, you know.
I feel you.
Yeah. Well, sneak peek. My next book is Hellbent by Lee Bardugo. So this, I read Ninth House, which is the first book of this series. Was it last month? I'm pretty sure it was last month. And it's, this one. I really love the cover of this. It's a little like creepy, a little weird. I love this. It was 4 stars for me. It was a really enjoyable read. I was telling her about some things that happened in it that is like really interesting. Glowing lights.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
It's a fun read, which I wasn't expecting considering the title of the book, but it was a lot funnier than I expected it to be. I think maybe not on purpose for some parts, but it was really enjoyable just altogether. If you've read Ninth House, it's a bit of a similar feeling, but it's just so much more, I feel like so much more enjoyable and more well-paced. And it's really so much easier to get into.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I read Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. This one was a little bit disappointing.
Ooh.
I think I rated this 2 stars. Yeah, I rated this 2 stars. I don't remember anymore, guys. I rated this 2 stars. I was really sad that it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. The characters are incredibly grating.
Yeah.
Like, as I was reading this, I was just like, it's supposed to be horror. I'm supposed to be scared for them, right?
Right.
But by the end of it, I was like cheering the like, I'm like, you know what? Deserved. And I don't think that's what you're supposed to feel when reading a horror.
I don't think so.
I think you're supposed to be afraid for them, and that just didn't happen with this book.
No empathy?
None.
Oh, God.
Like, zero. I wish I could have liked some of the characters, but it's so short that you don't really get to dive into who they are. So you get very surface level characterization, and in that situation, you just get, like, the bad parts of them, and you're like, well...
Question, right? Because if you were to watch, like, a stereotypical scary movie, isn't that how the character...
Shallow.
It's very shallow anyway, like...
Except this doesn't even have, like, a lot of good, like, scares.
Not even, like, jumpy?
No.
No? Okay.
I think that's what's disappointing. It's like I was expecting to be scared, but it was just like, ooh, yes, go ghost.
Right, but, like... but think about Scream, for example. Do you get what I'm...
But, like, Scream makes up for it by kind of being funny and, like, satirical.
Okay.
This isn't that.
Oh, okay. Well, I had to ask because I'm like, let's clarify.
Yeah,
the
like,
lack of empathy, because scary movies, I mean, it's very shallow. You don't.
it's very shallow.
You know, the killing in the shower. You know, like the very basic.
See, I would forgive that if it was even remotely scary, but it wasn't. It wasn't scary either. I think there were some really good writing passages in this.
Right.
But there's also, I think it's also the fact that it's bogged down by a lot of words that I think could have not been used.
Gotcha.
It's like a lot of big words for the sake of using big words.
Oh, is this the one that was very thesaurus-y?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the right. Oh, I like don't want to. I don't want to talk the writer because like there's passages in this that is really really good, like really good. I think it's just like sometimes you can put down the thesaurus, you know, like you don't need a $20 word for a $5 word that just works as well, you know. And that's nothing. That I feel like that's a thing that happens to a lot of writers. So it's not even just this writer, but it happened in this book, and I think that really just made me feel disconnected. Because
Gotcha.
as I was reading it, I was just like, well, that's a big word. That's nice. Like, why is this in here?
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. It's a good premise. Execution. I still want to read one of her other books, which is Salt Grows Heavy.
Ooh.
Which sounds very interesting.
Right.
But hopefully it doesn't have the same issues.
Yeah, sometimes we have feelings after we review a book where we're just like...
Yeah,
why?
we just cut the tape, and I looked down at the book again, and I was just like, so disappointing.
I'm just like, man.
It's okay. I checked the reviews on that book, and apparently it's actually like really poorly rated.
Okay.
So I'm not even the only one who feels that way.
Okay, well, you gave it a chance. It's a pretty fair rating, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two's pretty good. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Anyways, hold on. Let me see which one I read first from these two. Okay.
Gotcha.
So my next book is Women Eating by Claire Coda. I completely said her name wrong in the reading mood board, I realized. But it's by Claire Coda. And this was a really interesting read. I rated it 3.5 stars.
Ooh.
It's about a woman who is a vampire. She's mixed race, and she has trouble getting blood, because for a very long time she kind of relied on her mother to get them food. So her mom would order like pig's blood by the gallon, and that's what they would eat.
Right.
And the reason they got pig's blood is because her mother was like, you're actually like a demon, we're evil, you know, like we don't deserve good blood.
Sure.
So pig's blood is
The
thing,
lowest.
the lowest, right? And I found it really interesting how it deals with pretty much being a woman and equates it to being a vampire, right?
Right.
I thought that like the metaphors and the kind of allegories that are made between being a vampire and being a woman and finding your way and feeling othered and having depression and anxiety and stuff like that is all encapsulated in being a vampire. And I'm just like, this is
How I feel right now.
I'm like, this is such an interest, and it's funny because she gets a new job and stuff. So I feel like it'd be an interesting read for you, but
After Thursday, okay?
after Thursday. But I found it really well written, and I think it's really smartly written.
Uh-huh.
If you can take your time to read it, I would highly, highly recommend picking it up. I know I rated it 3.5 stars, which doesn't sound high, but for me that's fairly high.
Yeah.
That's quite high, and I would recommend it constantly, actually. Just the way it deals with the subject matter, I think it's really intelligent.
Nice.
And then the second book I read in October was Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu.
Ooh.
And this is a classic. It is the book that inspired Dracula. I think it's 50 years before Dracula was actually written.
Uh-huh.
And I gave it a 3-star rating. Or 2.5, 3-star rating. And I think that's just because it's a classic. It's the first.
Yeah.
Right? And as good at it is, and as like as much as we've taken from it, because there's a lot that we've taken about vampire lore that is in this book, I feel like it's, if you're used to more exciting vampire novels, it's just gonna be really boring, right? It's not like super exciting or scary. It's written like the first vampire novel ever written. You know?
Well.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading that kind of historical context of it, but it wasn't.
It didn't hit the same.
It didn't hit the same. Maybe if I lived back in the day and I read this for the first time,
It would have been spooky.
it would have been spooky, but like, considering all the things that have come out since this was published, it doesn't feel like a lot. I still enjoyed it. It was a really good read, but you can tell it's a classic.
Nice.
That's it for me.
Nice.
And then so for Shay.
All right, guys. So time to do my October wrap up. So I actually wanted to start October by reading the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, but then got distracted by a package that came through, and I had to stop everything because when this series comes through in my inbox, everything else gets dropped so that I could follow along. And it is Lore Olympus, Volume 5. So we're continuing the story with the Greek gods, following Persephone. She starts her internship with Hades on her birthday, matter of fact. And we find out that she unleashed an unspeakable wrath that was not permissed by Zeus. And so she's on the run, actually from something else, unfortunately. But at the same time, Zeus has put out an arrest warrant for her and her mother, Demeter. So interesting just to see how this Greek mythology is retold, and we love it. So I gave this a 4.5 stars.
Oh wow, our first books of the month are 4.5 stars.
Exactly, because I love it so much. I love the way it's told. There are, like, the art in this graphic novel is just supreme, beautiful.
Her art is very pretty.
It is very pretty. The only issue that I have is with the color scheme. I brought out the books as soon as I got it and showed Demi the color scheme, and I'm like, I have issues.
Yeah.
I have issues because they do not match, which is problematic because I color code my shelves. So, so that's why I ducked a point. I'm kidding.
It matched like the first few
The
books.
first three matched. The fourth one was kind of changing color. Like, it was still in the dark colors, the dark tones. And then the pastels is where I'm like, yo, for real, what happened? What happened? So that's Lore Olympus. The second book I read, so I officially started The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I understand the addiction. I get it. I understand. I actually got back to the gym because of this book, because I had so much anxiety. It was so action-packed that I had to get on a treadmill to follow along with this story. I was Reese Witherspoon booking it up at the gym, reading this damn book, okay? I understand. I am ready to watch. I love this. It's very Nancy Drew. It brings me back to my childhood. It's very Pretty Little Liars. Love the vibe. So I gave this 4 stars. Okay. So that was the next book. The third book, again, I got distracted because, you know, when you get a hold from the library, you're kind of like, okay, so time to switch gears. Continuation of a series I started reading, was it last month?
Yes.
Last month?
August?
August? Yeah, like we started
September.
reading, we both started reading this series too. But Tales from the Cafe, so great. We're following the stories. I wrote it down. We're following the stories of the best friends, mother and son, lovers, husband and wife. So we're following 4 sets of people.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet.
So I'm gonna withhold some things because it's a shocker. We do get to find out who the ghost in the white dress is.
from the first one.
It totally makes sense. I mean, I figured that there had to be some connection, and there definitely was. I don't want to spoil the end, but it was so good.
It's okay.
It's
Just
okay.
know it's really good.
It's really good. I particularly got very emotional while I was reading the mother and son story because, like, it very much was relatable to me, especially because I'm currently in the situation of, like, you know, figuring out what my next steps are and just kind of being stuck here and wanting to visit my parents and then being unable to do so. And just this son not even being able to go to his mother's funeral because he couldn't afford to go. And, like, him visiting the cafe to just see his mom one last time and, like, you know, end himself. It was just super sad and just so heartbreaking to read. I literally started I don't know what it is with this series that makes me ugly cry all the time. But
I know, right?
I
cried
swear,
the first time.
I'm like,
when I read
damn it! Why would you do this to me?
It
It's just.
has, like, such simple writing, but effective.
It's very effective. I think the only criticism that I have is, had I read this, like, back to back, even the fact that I've read it this closely together, it gets very repetitive.
Fair.
It gets repetitive in terms of, like, you know, being provided with the instructions. You know, I feel like once you get it a couple of times, I don't think it's necessary to keep repeating the instructions. Like, at this point, it's ingrained in my brain, you know?
I could be in this cafe.
I know the rules. I don't need to be told these rules. But, I mean, all in all, a good book. I gave it 3.5 stars. Only because of the fact that it does get repetitive, because you're just being told over and over again, these are the rules, these are the rules, these are rules. I'm like, okay, I get it, I understand. It still clenches at your heartstrings, and it still touches your soul. So yeah. And then the next book that I read was the continuation to the Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the second book, Good Girl, Bad Blood. Oh my god, was it as good as the first book? I don't like whenever there's a series, it's hard, right? I think what the first book did well is that it was written in multimedia format, so instantly you get a case file, you get images, you get different formats, right? Because it's investigative journalism.
It's automatically like captivating.
It's automatically captivating. With this, it's kind of like you're reading a story. So it kind of changes the format a little bit, where you're kind of like, oh, okay, get to the evidence, like get to the, like, let me see what we're working with, right? And again, still interesting, right? I still was very upset at the end and got very emotional. I was so sad. Yeah, I was reading it in front of her, so she knew. Like, it got very tense.
Yeah.
Like, towards those last few pages, I'm like, someone's holding a gun. Someone's at gunpoint. Oh my god, what the hell? So yeah, still very captivating. It's just, it changes the format a little bit, but I think it prepares you for the third book, because I'm reading that now, where it's more like written story, because I feel like the storyline has changed a little bit, where she's now the victim, so like she's getting harassed by online viewers and stuff like that. So it kind of prepares you for that. So I gave this book, still good, still captivating. I think because of my emotional reaction in the end, like, it was so visceral, I gave this a 4.5 stars.
Ooh,
so still
nice.
good. The series is great. I feel like I'm going to be so judgmental watching this show because we get so much details about the characters, their personality. They're so like, you can imagine them. You have pictures of them in some cases. So like, we have a clear image of who these people are, what they should look like. I did see pictures of Pip and Ravi. And from the show, and they're so cute. And just, I'm like, yeah.
I think, like, if there's enough of a buffer between, like, you're finishing reading it and then, like, seeing the show, you could enjoy it without, like, super being nitpicky about it, because you'll forget some details, right?
Right.
So hopefully there's enough of a buffer in between when you finish the series and, like, the TV show comes out.
I know. I'm also curious as to how they're going to do it, like whether they're going to dedicate seasons to just one book.
Or, like, sprinkle, like, some Easter eggs in there from the other books.
Yeah. So, very curious to see how that pans out. But that was pretty much me for October. Again, I do have a lot of things going on with life changes. I'm in the job market, so interviewing and different stages of interviewing. And I'm sure we all know, because, like, from what I've heard, like, most of us are kind of, like, going through that process. So it's been kind of a lot.
So the fact that she's read 4 books is
a
lot.
I'm like, with the amount of interviews and, like, phone screenings and everything that I've gone through, I'm like, I am surprised.
Yeah.
I am surprised.
But it's good. It's good that, like, things are moving forward.
Yeah, right? But also, like, this is life, right? Like, this is why we wanted to start this journey, because despite anything that we have going on, we still want to be able to put reading as a priority as well, and try to get some books in. So I'm glad to see how that really played out in, like, work-life balance.
Yeah.
So super interesting. Well, we did it! Yay!
Sorry if this video is, like, nonsensical.
Very like this.
And very low energy.
I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, because she is not feeling well. And she's trying to do it as quickly as possible because
she has things to do.
Yeah. And honestly, like,
We
this
still
is
love you guys.
we still
We want to put out a video for
we
you.
want to put out a video. And also, this is, you kind of signed up for this.
Yeah.
You kind of did. It goes with the name, it goes with the territory.
Chaotic.
Organized chaos, you know. We're still
Mainly cut chaos this time.
oh,
That's okay.
chaos squared. But honestly, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, tell us what you're reading, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.